How could I possibly put a waist in my eyes? Bairuachi said, as if it were natural. Huang Yueli replied with, "That's fine." She was really afraid that such a fine man would be wasted by a Scrooge like Bairuachi. Bairuachi stared at her momentarily and laughed. "Yo, look at your expression. It seems you fancy Prince Yu? You are also trash, and he is a waste, a match made in heaven. I presume. You have many common topics." Huang Yueli lightly hooked her lips. "I think His Royal Highness Prince Yu is a fine partner of conversation." Although she loved Mu Qingying, holding no feelings in that category for His Royal Highness Prince Yu, the two were quite in tune. Because in South Yu, only the two of them are the true powers. Scope, ideas, realms, all completely different from others. It was the mutual attraction and mutual recognition between two powerful practitioners. However, Bairuachi misunderstood. "That's good. You are still smart. Knowing your identity is not worthy of those superior princes, let alone His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Quietly select His Highness Prince Yu, so you can at least experience glory and splendor in the future." Saying that, she sneered again. "Do not feel at loss, in terms of status and looks, to match with you this ugly duckling. Is your good fortune. It's just your poor health. I advise you to burn incense after your wedding and pray you can live a few more years and give him a child before your passing. Otherwise, the latter half of your life will be quite tragic." The more Bairuachi spoke, the more joy she felt and almost laughed out loudly. Just like she said, how could a trash possibly be on the list of potential imperial concubine candidates? Turns out she was here for His Royal Highness Prince Yua. Obviously, her third sister, an untalented and high-status young lady who was here for Prince Yu. A match, a real good match. Not only did this damn girl suffer great misfortune, being a waste, she was going to be wedded to another waste. Let's see how she plans to retaliate, to take revenge. Just wait until His Royal Highness the Crown Prince inherits the throne. There will be more. Really too happy. Bairuachi's words were extremely mean, but Huang Yueli did not mind. She wanted to laugh, but had to pick up the teacup to hide the smile. With Bairuachi's high self-esteem, she had always vowed to marry the strongest man. If she discovered the strongest one had been let go by her blinded eyes, who knows how depressed she will become? Possibly vomiting blood? From behind, Qi Tanger gossip continued. Where did we speak to? Oh yes, finishing with Prince Yu, the one on his right, if the third princely Mohan. The position of the third prince's mother is relatively low. She was merely his palace maid. But his was born with good innate talent, a fourth-grade talent, second only to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. As a result, his mother is one of the 4 imperial empresses. The fourth princely Moja friends with my cousin. His talent is not so good. The fifth prince, one by one Qi Tanger introduced each of the princes, causing a burst of admiration. Unexpectedly, apart from Prince Yu, there are several princes who are very outstanding. You don't say, such a pity. It makes one wonder just why His Royal Highness Prince Yu cannot cultivate. Yes, Prince Yu is really too handsome. Even if it were a second-grade talent, it would still be good. Alas, you can also listen on. Although aware of Prince Yu's title of waste, that handsome face was still more than capable to waver a few hearts. There were still many people unresigned and still lamented. Speaking to this point, Qi Tanger suddenly thought of something. That's right, within the experts of the royal palace, there is also the 7th princess. She is even better than the 3rd prince. Ah, I've heard of her. It is said that the 7th princess is also a 4th-grade talent, very rare among women. She contends with Bairuachi for the country's #1 female practitioner. Yes, they are also very good friends in private, intimate friends. Qi Tanger nodded her head. And few people know that the 7th princess is dual attributed in fire and metal. What? Fire and metal dual attributes? 4th-grade talent and fire and metal attributes? Many people exclaimed, seeming to be scared by this intelligence. Yes, 4th-grade talent and also dual in fire and metal. The 7th princess is already a senior armament apprentice. So, some people say that the 7th princess is the #1 genius of the royal family. Unfortunately, the seventh princess seems to be out of the palace for practice. She cannot come to the banquet today. Comparing people can really infuriate a person to death. The seventh princess talent is too good. Seven princess can actually become an armament master. Really envious. The emperor arrives. The empress dowager arrives. The emperor and empress dowager walked in the front with several concubines following at the back as they entered the palace of peace and tranquility. The buzzing sounds immediately stopped as everyone hurried to get up and salute. The emperor walked to the main stage and sat down. Then he said with a smile, "Excuse the salutes, excuse the salutes. Today we should not restrain ourselves. Relax and enjoy the peach blossoms." The official start of the banquet. The emperor and the empress dowager sat in the first place. In descending order down from the emperor's side, sat the crown prince, the imperial tutor, and the various princes. While empress dowager's side sat the imperial empress, followed by the palace concubines. Due to the simultaneous appearance of the emperor, the empress dowager, and the imperial empress, the three harem giants, all the young ladies were very nervous. No one dared to talk privately. One by one, they sat on their knees and elegantly drank tea. They stuttered in fear of showing the littlest bit of inappropriate actions that would affect their evaluation. Huang Yueli did not have as much scruples. With a table of food, she very happily ate. This imperial palace's royal kitchen level is quite high. Much better than the cooks of my back courtyard, especially these pastries. Not only are they exquisite, they are also very ingenious. They actually use peach stuffing. Not only does it look good, it also tastes good. I didn't come in vain. In her past life, she was the prime example of a foodie. She loved to taste all kinds of food. In order to please her, Mu Qingying accompanied her to many countries in order to taste their local specialty dishes. Eating delicious foods, Huang Yueli rose to a good mood, while the smile on her face became more and more obvious. She did not notice. A gaze had been secretly focused on her face for a long time, already without break. Li Moings was feeling complicated as he watched the young girl eat and drink merrily. It had been 5 days since he was mercilessly rejected by that little fox, and his mood was still very low, as if nothing could lift it up. Originally, he did not want to attend this peach blossom banquet, but when he heard this little thing was going to participate, for some inexplicable reason, he promised to participate. What was the reason for his attendance? Hadn't he decided to give up on her? You can also listen on. Did he not already say that he would no longer show or look for her favor? However, as soon as he heard the emperor was going to fulfill his agreement with the Bai Lu Feng and allow the little fox to marry the crown prince, he could not think anything. Jealousy occupied all his thoughts. No matter how many times he resisted in his heart, how many warnings he gave himself, he cared too damn much for her. This feeling, it was like fate sunk deep into the marrow, carved into the depths of the soul. It filled every corner of his body, shouting out that this little girl belonged to him. It was like it had always been and will be forever. It was like he had loved her for a long, long time already. What the hell? Li Moing had previously convinced himself that his attendance was just to give face to his father, the emperor. But when he heard the little girl had entered the palace, his legs unconsciously brought him to the peach blossom orchard just to see her. Afterwards, he regretted it. Just what was he doing? That little girl's pink face, red lips, made her look many times more beautiful. It also moved his heart much more. Moreover, her complexion was quite good. A single glance told him she had slept quite well these past days. As it turns out, it was only him who was affected. When he thought of this, he really could not wait to drag this little fox out to severely beat her bottom. Afterwards, press her down on the grass and wantonly kiss her amidst the peach blossoms. In the moment of his impulsiveness, Qi Tanger appeared beside Huang Yueli. Suddenly awakened, Li Moing quickly dispelled this idea and indifferently began to leave. When they meet again at noon, this little girl still had no conscience. It seems that the food on the table is much more attractive than a living, breathing, handsome person. From her way of eating and drinking, This little girl held no worries or troubles. She was seemingly unaware how eye-catching her current position was, as many jealous gazes landed on her body. However, with this little fox's ability, she possessed the means to not put anyone in her eyes. But that did not include him. Lemoyne subconsciously touched his face, a doubt once again birthing. From an early age, everyone said that he had a good life. Following master to the sect, he became a peerless genius above of all. Any young girl who knew his real identity, which did not intentions or secrets. Could it be that those people were lying to him? Could it be he actually looked quite pitiful? Hence the little fox's lack of interest? Lemoyne's vision involuntarily fell on Huang Yueli's body again. Finished eating, Huang Yueli picked up the towel to wipe her hands. Suddenly, she looked up in his direction. Like he had seen a ghost, Lemoyne did not want her to see that he liked her, so hurriedly changed his line of sight. This naturally fell to the person beside Huang Yueli, by Ruoqi. The little fox's second sister by Ruoqi. He heard about her. He heard that she had always bullied the little fox and is also South Yu's famous beauty and outstanding talent. When he saw her today, not only was her talent not very good, she also looked very ordinary. Far too tacky. In particular, when she sat beside his little fox, she looked like a complete dreg. You can also listen on. However, Huang Yueli completely misunderstood him. Seeing Lemoyne's gaze falling on by Ruoqi's body, anger clouded her mind. A fire nearly lit up. Lemoyne actually looked at Bai Ruoqi. Many times today, every time she looked at him, he was always looking at Bai Ruoqi. What's so good to look at? That he needed to look at her nonstop? To think that she, though Lemoyne, was different from the rest, not looking at superficial appearances. She did not expect he actually liked this kind of brazen woman. Too angry. Huang Yueli's good mood suddenly gone. Facing the table of delicacies, she no longer had any appetite. Putting down the chopsticks, she held her chin, pink lips muttering away. As Lemoyne looked at her cute actions, his heart beat a little faster. This is not a misconception of his. When he met her today, the little fox really looked much more beautiful than before. Even her bodily aura seemed different from before. Sensing it with his soul, Lemoyne continued to stare at her. Chi Profound Realm 9th level? The little fox was at the Chi Profound Realm 9th level? When did this happen? At their time of separation, the little fox was still a normal person who could not cultivate. What happened during their separation? At this moment, the Huang Yueli looked up to him. Unable to dodge her gaze, he met Huang Yueli's eyes. Slightly startled, he felt the little fox's gaze was a bit fierce. Was it because he has been peeping on her and was found? As a result, it made her unhappy? As the two people locked eyes from far away, complex emotions swirled in their eyes. After 3 rounds, the seated emperor gently coughed. Instantly, the palace of peace and tranquility settled down. The emperor smiled. Royal Mother, this peach blossom banquet was originally organized by you, but Jin ended up bringing an entire group of people with invitations. I hope you are not offended by this. As the Empress Dowager's complexion was still a little bad, she had only just caught her breath. Not completely recovered. She glanced at Bai Ruoqi and really wished to say just what happened immediately. However, this well-prepared election feast, she must hold on to this thought. Looking at the joyous spirits of the emperor, the Empress Dowager put aside those words and coldly replied, "It's fine. AI Jia is just feeling a bit uncomfortable today. I will handle over the banquet's hosting to the Imperial Empress today." It was not too late to say such matters when the time arose for the selection of the Imperial concubine. In any case, she absolutely would not allow Bai Ruoqi, that insidious girl, to become the Crown Prince's Imperial concubine. At a blank, the Imperial Empress quickly said, "Royal Mother, where do you feel discomfort? Or do you need to return to rest? Do you need a doctor to examine you?" Handing the task over this concubine, "Please feel assured over this." Empress Dowager shook her head, looking cold. AIG wants to stay here to watch. Today, AIG has seen too many doctors for today. When the Imperial Empress heard, she did not understand. However, she was very happy to be able to replace the Empress Dowager, and become the host of this banquet. Because as her mother, she still wanted to find a powerful imperial concubine for the crown prince. But the emperor and the empress dowager seemed more inclined to the Byruoli that waste. She was really afraid of their words would delay the future of her son. So now, this was a good thing. She will first make Byruoli embarrass herself at the banquet, so that even the emperor will be disgusted at that little girl. This will dispel his idea of making her the imperial concubine. You can also listen on. Set on her idea, the imperial concubine displayed a dignified smile and slowly opened her mouth. As the ancient saying goes, as people face the peach blossoms, they reflect on one another. This year's peach blossoms have bloomed so well, and with all the ladies and gentlemen present, all who are beautiful young and outstanding talents. When this royal sees them, she is happy. She paused and turned to look at the emperor. It's just inevitable to avoid drinking. And from this royal hears, these young ladies here are all very talented. So it's better to take this opportunity to demonstrate a thing or two now. This will add a level excitement to the banquet. How does the emperor and empress dowager think of this? Hearing this, the emperor immediately said with great interest, "This idea is good. All will be done according to the imperial empress idea." Empress dowager also nodded. This had been the ultimate purpose of this banquet. With these young ladies gathered together, after evaluating their looks and upbringing, it would be a showcase of their talents. The crowd of golden-spooned young ladies also immediately reacted, their spirits ignited. They had been waiting for this opportunity. They wanted to use this opportunity to catch the attention of the emperor and the several princes. The imperial empress said, "The banquet has just begun. We will be performing mainly talent showcases. Whether in singing, dancing, calligraphy, painting, or poetry, you may choose and perform as you wish." Obviously, no one dared to voice their dissent. Looking around the stage, the imperial empress' gaze eventually landed on Huang Yueli's body. "Since we have no problems, then it will be done according to seating position. First is third young Miss Bai. What are you going to showcase?" Everyone's eyes landed straight on Huang Yueli, all a little condescending. Everyone knew that third young Miss Bai was a real idiot in waste, needless to say about cultivation. Even if the average lady learned poetry and painting, while she basically learned nothing, Wu Wei Manor deliberately gave up on this waste, hence their refusal to invite a decent teacher. But towards outsiders, it was said that this niece was stubborn-headed, with a hot temper, that she had angered a master teacher, which they had invited over with great difficulty. If one were to describe the former by Ruoli's past experiences at such events, you could only use the word tragic. To all other performances which resulted in a house full of applauses, she could not even perform the simplest dancing jump. God knows how many people secretly ridiculed her. So this time, they all assumed that third young Miss Bai probably will shame herself again. This time, it was shaming in front of the Empress Dowager. Byruachi could not help but smirk slightly. This little slut was up first. How is this not amusing? Do not think you are fit for this position. Currently, the talent show has been arranged from the first position onwards, not leaving her the slightest bit of preparation time. Let's see how this damn girl will stumble. Detecting the eyes from all around her, Huang Yueli did not panic or show her nervousness. Displaying a sweet and gentle smile, and in the manner of lady, she proceeded to slowly stand up. Towards the emperor and others, she paid her respects. "Your Majesty, Empress Dowager, Imperial Empress, Imperial Concubines, and fellow ladies and gentlemen, this girl is Wu Wei Manor, by Lu Feng's daughter by Ruoli. Since Her Highness has personally called me out, then Lear will not be courteous and perform first." The Imperial Empress accidentally looked at her. Her reason for calling her out first was due to past rumors she had heard about her inability to perform even the most basic of skills. You can also listen on. The Imperial Empress predicated that she would be highly embarrassed from being placed onto the spot. This achieved her purpose, but she did not expect this little girl would be stronger than she imagined, and by 100 times, looked sweet and pleasant, needless to say. Even her gestures, elegant temperament, were much more graceful and better than any princess. If one did not know this girl's history, one would not think she was a piece of waste. The imperial empress stared at Huang Yueli for a moment before laughing. Indeed, the daughter of Bai Lu Feng. A true beauty. So, what are you going to perform? Huang Yueli gently glanced at the audience, her eyes finally landing on Bai Ruoqi's body, and her face lit up as an inspiration sparked in her head. She smiled and said, Imperial Empress, this is Lear's first time to participate in this talent show, so I do not know which to choose. I've thought of choosing the Qin, but I did not come with one, from your opinion. The Imperial Empress smiled and said, What difficulties are these? The palace is filled with all kinds of musical instruments and more. Someone come and find a Qin for third young Miss Bai. Taking advantage, the palace made search for the Gu Qin. Bai Ruoqi lowered her voice and said to Huang Yueli, Third sister, I kind of admire you. Can you really play the Qin? My sister, I do not need to remind that if you cannot play well, it would be better off if you don't play at all. Oh, I would like to thank second sister for her concern. But sister, I still studied Qin for a few days and can manage a few songs. It should be enough to improvise for this event. Huang Yueli gently smiled and replied in a mild tone. Under all these eyes and ears, both showed very decent outlooks. It made appear as if the dispute in the peach blossom orchard earlier did not exist. Bai Ruoqi lifted her cup and sneered secretly. This damn girl didn't have mental problems? Wanting to participate in this showcase this bad? To the point of selecting the Qin? Her third sister only fiddled it with for fun, but she was still not clear in her own skill. From young, she had never learned the art. Moreover, all the people in the capital knew that the best Qin player was her, Bai Ruoqi. She had studied Gu Qin for half a year with the famous fairy Ruan Hong. Although she did not obtain too much, she was incomparable in Southview. In order not make a fool of themselves, as long as Bai Ruoqi's attended, not a lady dared to choose the Qin. This waste dared to play Qin in front of her? Was this not a blatant provocation for a beating? The more she considered, the happier Bai Ruoqi felt. It seems this girl was digging her grave. She did not expect to regain the city so quickly. The audience also burst into an uproar. It can't be, if she really intends to play the Qin. Is she not afraid of shaming herself before the emperor? That's hard to say. Maybe she's specially practiced and prepared to present it at the Peach Blossom Banquet. What a joke. Even if she can perform a decent piece of music, but she is followed by Bai Ruoqi. By that time will certainly be Bai Ruoqi's spotlight. No matter how well she plays, it will all be for naught. Even the crown prince laughed. Turning to Prince Yu, he said, Third young Miss Bai has really embarrassed herself this time. Does she not know Chi'er is very good at playing the Qin? Should this prince remind her? In truth, she is not as stubborn or stupid as the rumors say she is. She's actually quite a sensible girl. You can also listen on. After Huang Yueli's action of kindness at the Thousand Treasure Pavilion, the crown prince changed his attitude towards her. Seeing her today, she looked more beautiful. This incited a tickle within his heart. This little girl was also very smart and lovely, even with the beauty of the knights Bai Ruoqi. Each held their own strengths, so it would be great if both could enter his harem. Of course, since she is a waste, she would be unable to become his imperial concubine, but a side concubine will do just fine. A beautiful and brave palace lady. This would be a good story to tell. Besides, due to this girl's status of wastrel, it would be quite hard for her to find a good match. The fact that this prince is willingly to accept her as a side concubine should be enough to moor her to tears. Thinking of this, the crown prince's smile turned quite profound. As this scene played out in Li Moying's eyes, his handsome face showed a trace of frostiness. Dare to think about his woman. Li Majuan, you have enough courage. It's best if you go home to wash your neck first. Although Li Moying held murderous intentions, nothing showed on his face. Lazily, he continued to sweep his gaze over Huang Yueli, as if he didn't care for her at all. In fact, he really did not feel any anxiety. What kind of role this little fox is playing? Although he did not know what she was brewing, she would definitely not lose in such an insignificant scene. After the blank of many days, when he saw the little thing's cunning heart, he still felt she is very cute. But he did not wish for that heartless little thing to discover this. So he quickly averted his eyes and lowered his head. Sensing that someone was looking at her, Huang Yueli looked up. Unfortunately, she only saw Li Moing's cold as ice figure. She could not help but look away in disappointment. Soon, a palace woman holding a delicate jade chain entered the palace of peace and tranquility. Third young miss Bai. This is made from water-dropped Polonia wood. It is the best of the chain collections within the palace. Please look over and see if it is to your liking. Huang Yueli took it and gently wiped it. Gently she smiled. Worthy of the palace's collection. This ice jade chain can be considered a rare treasure. I shall play on this chain. When Bai Ruoqi heard this, she almost spit out her tea. This damn girl appeared to be very dissatisfied with the ice jade chain. God knows that this could be considered to be one of the best ice jade chains within all of South Sky region. Even several cities could not compare to its value. It was said that this chain came with Empress Ming Fei when she married into the palace. Empress Ming Fei was a chain master with equal fame as Bai Ruoqi's master. Only then did she possess such a chain. Bai Ruoqi dreamed about it in her dreams. Even a touch would be great. However, after the death of Empress Ming Fei, this chain had been kept within the palace, never to be seen again. Unexpectedly, when Huang Yueli announced she was going to play the chain, the emperor had taken it out. This is really too biased. Unfortunately, no matter how biased he was, an idiot would always be an idiot. The better quality the chain, the more it displayed her poor skills. Other golden-spooned ladies also widened their eyes. Looks of envy and jealousy struck at the hand atop the ice jade chain. Huang Yueli's fingers gently fiddled with a few strings. Clear and sweet sounds resounded, raising a touch of smile, this feeling. She really missed it. You can also listen on. God knows how long had it been since she last touched the chain. In her past life, Huang Yueli was the continent's most famous chain master. Her chain skills had reached the apex of perfection. While ordinary chain masters could only perform ear-lulling melodies, her pieces all held a mysterious kind of skill. The heavenly sound, the once ninth realm peak expert Huang Yueli's calling technique, the #1 cheat skill of the Tianling continent. Her armament at the time had also been a chain, Moonlight Beauty. However, the Moonlight Beauty was not an ordinary chain. It was something she personally created, encapsulating the spirit of a 9th level armament. That year, its sounds had, without exception, awed countless soul masters. Who knew what the number had been? When she self-detonated in that icy region, she had brought along with her very own Moonlight Beauty. She wondered if it had been destroyed by that powerful explosion. Even if not destroyed, many years had passed. It most likely had been long picked up, right? 1,000 thoughts swirled within Huang Yueli's mind, her hands stopping in the process. The Imperial Empress immediately took the chance, reminding her, "Bai Ruoli, why do you not start? There are still many other ladies waiting behind you to perform. Please do not delay for too long." Huang Yueli recovered herself and lightly laughed, replying to the Imperial Empress, "A real master must first take some time to settle themselves. Otherwise, the music will lack feelings and depth of soul." Bai Ruoli secretly laughed. The sound is not high, not low, just enough for Huang Yueli to hear. "Where did you hear that from you? You can lie pretty well. Who cannot play such tunes? Let us hear what you have to perform then." From the very beginning, Huang Yueli was too lazy to care about her. But what she said was the truth. If the Bai Ruoqi did even understand this, then yet to enter the basic level, stopping for 2 more breaths, her fingers trembling slightly as she pressed softly on the strings. Then, uninterrupted melody flowed from her fingertips, 7 strings flowing, the sounds of the heavens turning insignificant. These sounds, like mountains and rivers, like moonlit breezes, like jade breaking, like fireworks bursting. Almost instantly, it captured everyone's minds. Huang Yueli's slender fingers lightly danced as she was plucking as she wished. but her rhythms sway freely, gracefully, and ever-moving. In this breathtaking Qin performance, Pair of Illusions appeared in front of all listeners. It seemed to be elegant and indifferent lilies slowly opening their delicate petals, lonely but aloft, emitting an elegant fragrance. It is an out-of-body experience is extremely beautiful and awe-inspiring. As the song ended, the Qin slowly came to a stop, but everyone remained immersed, unable to return to reality. Huang Yueli coughed gently and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, this song is called Hidden Orchids, one of the 10 famed Qin songs. The earliest record from ancient relics of immortals, a true, slow, drawn melody. If played with an armament Qin, it is able to achieve an effect of tranquility. A pity this ice jade Qin is but an ordinary item." Hearing her talk, everyone awoke from their dreams. As they recovered, their eyes fell on Huang Yueli, all with looks of shock. No one thought this idiotic waste by Ruoli could play the Guqin. Not only that, she had played so well, fully embodying the sounds of nature. Extremely talented. You can also listen on. It can be said, after listening to Huang Yueli's Qin songs, all other Qin songs turned into boring noises, churning out songs without thought for quality, simply unbearable for the ears. God, so nice to listen to. I think I just saw blooming orchids. Yeah, too good. I've never heard such a nice song. To think Third Young Miss by could play the Qin, accompanied by the sounds of praise. Huang Yueli remained composed, neither excited nor proud. She had heard too many similar praises. These cliches were too common. However, when these words entered by Ruoqi's ears, they were like bolt of lightning striking her from the skies. She turned pale. These beautiful words should belong to her. At each young lady's party, surrounded nonstop praises should be her by Ruoqi. When did it belong to that dead girl? Is she not an idiot? One who was horrendous at poems and had appalling Qin skills? Just when did she develop such superb skills, taking away all the limelight? Even if by Ruoqi vomited to death, her own skills were much too inferior to Huang Yueli's. She had always been proud of her Qin skills. Unfortunately, in the face of Huang Yueli, nothing was worth mentioning. The gap between the two was much too high. As long one listens, they would immediately be able to tell who attained the higher mastery. This fact hit her deeply. All of Ruoqi's lips and face were a deathly white. Not only did she feel angry, but also very jealous. Yet she could say nothing. Her skills cannot match others. What else could she say? Even the emperor said very pleasantly, "You are the daughter of Bai Lufeng? In previous years, I heard that you were weak in health, constantly recuperating at home. I did not expect for you to possess such outstanding technique. Amazing." Huang Yueli placed the ice jade Qin down and gestured gracefully. "Thank you for the praises, Your Majesty. These are but minor accomplishments. Very modest. If these are minor accomplishments, then there is no more room for other performances. This is Zhen's first time listening to such Qin skills." After the incident this morning, the Empress Dowager's impression of Huang Yueli had rose greatly. And with this, she immediately spoke out for her. Although this girl's cultivation is a little bad, but knows that devote themselves to learning the art of the Qin. Indifferent to fame and fortune, not arrogant, and able to play such a good melody. The character of this girl is really rare. The emperor had always remembered the friendship between Bai Lufeng. If not for his daughter's bad name, he would have long decreed for her engagement to the crown prince. When he saw the girl today, he found a completely different person from the rumors. Not only did she look beautiful, she carried herself with an elegant temperament. Also playing such good Qin, in the Tianling continent, a Qin master is still very respected. The emperor suddenly felt very happy, deeply pleased. Finally, the daughter of Bai Lufeng was not a complete straw bag. Cannot cultivate, so instead she cultivated her Qin technique to such levels. This showed that the girl's character is very good. After hearing the Empress Dowager's praises of Huang Yueli, the emperor smiled deeper. Good, really good. Come, Reward third young miss by. You can also listen on. The emperor paused, a little undecided as to what to give her. Gold and silver jewelry were poor in taste and incapable of showing the importance he placed in Huang Yueli. And to give her profound armaments, this little girl could not cultivate, so she has no use for them. While he hesitated, Huang Yueli spoke for herself. Your Majesty, Lear asks for your favor. If you can you give me this ice jade chain? Although the chain is but an ordinary item, the workmanship is too wonderful. From a single tonal sound, she could deduct that its quality was not that far from her moonlight beauty. More importantly, this chain was made from very rare water, Paulownia wood. This is a very rare fourth-level materials with the three attributes of fire, water, and wood. As a possessor of the flame spirit physique, with natural ninth-grade talent in all systems, she greatly needed a multi-attribute chain as her weapon. Multi-attributed materials are already very hard to find. This iced jade chain not only was made from rare materials, its workmanship was also very well done. As long as she refined with it as the base, it could become a fourth-grade profound weapon. It was precisely the weapon she needed most. Emperor hesitated for a moment. Huang Yueli thought that the chain was too precious, hence the emperor's reluctance. She was considering whether or not she would exchange it with some of her current armaments. Who knew the emperor would turn to look at Prince Yu. Moing, this chain a possession of your imperial mother, if you cannot bear. Huang Yueli turned dumbstruck. This piano a possession of Empress Mingfei? Li Moing, bottomless dark eyes, fell silently and gloomily on her. In the moment their eyes met, Huang Yueli only felt her body turn stiff. An unspeakably cold barrier formed in her heart. The eyes of this man, completely indifferent, no longer carrying that compelling sense of aggression and the teasing joy of gentleness of the past. It seems he is looking at a total and unrelated stranger. Huang Yueli clenched her fist unconsciously and bit her lip. Obviously, this was what she wanted. The two no longer held any ambiguity. Like they had never met before, each going their own way on this bridge. However, she felt too uncomfortable. How many years had passed since she last saw such coldness in those two peach eyes? Li Moing looked at her for a long while, but did not speak. The atmosphere at the banquet frozen for those few moments. Unable to stand the pressure, Huang Yueli opened her mouth first. Well, I'm sorry. I did not know that this was Her Royal Highness, Prince Yu's mother's item. Asking for it is too rude of me. I ask for His Royal Highness Prince Yu's forgiveness. This ice jade chain, gifting this ice jade chain to you. Talking. Huang Yueli's hurried speech was interrupted, but a frosty voice. Ah! She was surprised. See Li Mo Ying's apparently angry face. She expected he was still hung over the rejection. Huang Yueli made the preparations for his refusal. Who knew that he would speak and bestow the chain upon her? Staring at her delicate white face, he looked at her rare expression of shock. The small pink lips slightly open, bright cat eyes rounded all appeared extremely cute. It's no wonder she's the little thing that captured his attention. Unfortunately, it was too hard to chase her. As Li Moing's heart fluctuated, he nearly lost control. You can also listen on. Spending a great deal of willpower, Li Moing barely maintained his look of expressionlessness. He said lightly, My royal mother really loved the chain, and certainly hoped I would keep the chain to find a real master who deserves it and treasure it. Third young Miss Bai's chain skills are superb and without compare. If this chain does not follow third young Miss Bai, I am afraid I cannot find another owner. Why allow it to lie in the treasury forever? Li Moing's thin lips, the way he talked, all contained a kind of expensive and elegant grace. His voice low and sweet. Even if he spoke indifferently, it carried a natural allure. All the girls present, even knowing he was useless, could not help but involuntarily drag their eyes towards him. Truly the color of calamity. Huang Yueli could not help but secretly ridicule. She gently pushed away the ice jade chain. Thank you for your Royal Highness Prince Yu's kindness. After all, this is the Empress Ming Empress phase. With such bad aptitude, Lear cannot accept this. If this chain were left behind by any other empress, she absolutely will not hesitate to accept it. Musical instruments are like armament. They search for owners worthy of them. And she Huang Yueli considered herself to such a person who would be able to bring out the true ability of the Ice Jade chain. But unfortunately, this is the relic of Li Moing's royal mothers. If she accepted it, she could not help but always feel that it was somehow related to Li Moing. It is really ambiguous to accept the treasure left by someone else's mother. Even if she really wanted it, this world did not only have this chain. Why accept it and let others misunderstand? Li Moing raised his eyebrows and said, "What does third young miss by mean? You cannot put the Ice Jade chain in your eyes, so you're not fit for this chain?" Neither. Huang Yueli could not help but stare at him. This man's mouth is too cheap. This occasion, in front of the three giants of the palace. Regardless of how she replies, it will be very rude. Why must this man push her like so? Before Huang Yueli could reply, the emperor spoke up. "Lear, since Moing took the initiative, then this chain will be your reward." When the Empress Ming Fei was alive, she did say that the thing she couldn't bear to leave was the Ice Jade chain. She did not know who to entrust it upon. Emperor sighed slightly. A trace of nostalgia flashed in his eyes. The Imperial Empress secretly bit her teeth in anger. After so many years of her death, the Emperor still missed that damn fox. It is unfortunate a dead person cannot compete with her. It's just this malevolent star, Huang Yueli. It was like meeting a ghost. Didn't they all say she was trash? Why could she suddenly play the chain? Moreover, from a single song, the Emperor remembered that concubine. Simply working against her. No, she must allow her to become her daughter. The Emperor did not notice the Imperial Empress change in expression. As he was immersed in memories of the past, it was a long time before he recovered. Today is really a good day. Moing will be choosing his Imperial concubine at the banquet, considered to have a royal wife. Even the Ice Jade chain has found a new master. Lear, just accept this chain. From Zhen's eyes, you are fated with this chain. Listening to these words, Huang Yueli's back was covered in sweat. His Royal Highness Prince Yu really intended to select his Imperial concubine at this peach blossom banquet? You can also listen on. Which of these women deserved him? Also, since the Emperor spoke, this chain could no longer be refused, or she risked enraging the Emperor. If that happens, how can she continue to cause trouble for Bai Ruoqi and the Crown Prince? She could only accept it, then find an opportunity to return it to Li Moing after the banquet. Huang Yueli thanked the Emperor. Holding the chain, she returned to her seat. Bai Ruoqi looked at the chain in her hands, with her eyes almost shooting flames out. This is Empress Ming Fei's chain. Which girl who played the chain did not dream about it? Why did it fall into her most disgraceful and hateful third sister's hands? Bai Ruoqi stared at Huang Yueli full of jealousy. Third sister, you hit it really well, but do not think that by simply playing the chain will allow you to fly and become a phoenix. Compared to the real martial geniuses, you are just an insignificant talent. Huang Yu careful put the down and smiled. My chain skills, of course, cannot be compared with second sister. I am waiting for second sister's show, for you will certainly perform better than me. I will definitely applaud you later from the audience position. White Ruoqi froze a moment, her face falling. If not for Huang Yueli's reminder, she almost forgot that she would be the second one to perform. Originally, such a talent show was her favorite. As long as she stood on the stage and played a song, she could easily obtain a full house of applause. The limelight for her only. No one could compare to her. Today, Bai Ruoqi has Empress Shu on her side, so she knew from long ago that there would be a talent show that banquet. Well prepared, she carefully focused her attention on water from high mountains, constantly practicing at home, to ensure her best display at the Peach Blossom Banquet and capture the eyes of the Emperor, Empress Dowager, and Crown Prince. Although she wished to become the Imperial concubine, she must still rely on her own martial talent. But her performance will had bonus points for her. Who was she to know that her third sister would perform so well with her an ancient melody, silent orchids, and mesmerizing all present? So skillful that not even she could compare. Emperor also gave her Empress Ming Fei's Ice Jade Qin. With Huang Yueli past musical experiences and talents, by Ruoqi's displays with the Qin, turned far inferior. Truly too shameful. By Ruoqi, but had always been renowned for playing the Qin. But now, her joke of a sister revealed her true talent. What a big joke it all became. Moreover, when one compared the performances, the contrast is too strong. Even if Bai Ruoqi played well, everyone's memory still lingered on Huang Yueli's magical performance. Any piece followed would only birth feelings of boredom. They would sound terribly bad. What should she do next? Not giving Bai Ruoqi time to think of an alternative, the Imperial Empress spoke up. The second performer is Wu Wei Manor's second young miss by Ruoqi. What do I want to showcase? Replying to the Imperial Empress, murmuring, by Ruoqi's mind whirled in a frenzy. Knowing she could not play the Qin, she lamented on what to perform. She naturally learned poetry and painting, but since becoming the #1 Qin player in Southview, she did not focus as much on other subjects. You can also listen on. Adding on the fact that she had not prepared anything else in advance. If she were to force a performance, she will certainly perform worse than the other young ladies. What can be done? She blamed the little slut Huang Yueli. It was all her fault, like she was born to bring misfortune to her. Are you still hesitating, by Ruoqi? Are you not ready to play the Qin today? I can that you brought your cold water Qin too. Do not you want to use it? By Ruoqi quickly turned around and found that those words were spoken by the sitting third young miss from the Dingwa minister house, Liu Yi. By Ruoqi's face immediately sank. Liu Yi is a third-grade talent. Apart from her, she is another talented, aristocratic young lady. She heard that Dingwa Minister House had requested the help of Imperial Master to help Liu Yi advance to the Qi Profound Realm 7th level. This was to aid in her challenge for the position of Imperial Concubine. Moreover, Bai Ruoqi also heard people say that due to her quarrel with Crown Prince at the auction, Liu Yi took advantage to visit the Crown Prince several times. She was also seen shopping in the markets with him. Compared to Huang Yueli, who could not cultivate, this Liu Yi is her bigger trouble. Fortunately, Bai Ruoqi gained that bottle of spirit cleansing pills from Bai Lu Jing. After a painstaking 3 days, she successfully broke through to the Qi Profound Realm, 9th level. She first decided to remove the medicine smell from the pills, then used this new strength to crush Liu Yi at the Peach Blossom Banquet. With her glares of jealousy and hatred, she will finally become the Imperial Concubine. Unexpectedly, not only was Huang Yueli not forced to her death, but such a big scandal had ensued. And now, this Liu Yi jumped out to challenge her. Bai Ruoqi nearly crushed her ivory teeth. In a sharp tone, she grinded out a few words. Do I need your concern? Liu Yi laughed. Of course I will be concerned. After all, there are so many people waiting to perform. If you dally here, neither the show nor allowing the next person to perform, you will just be wasting our time. Hence, do you not need the reminder? So what? If I want to think about it for a while, it's up to me. The dispute between the Imperial Empress ears. She coughed impatiently and asked, Chiara, have you thought about it, you? Why is it taking you so long? Liu Yi, what do you have to say? Liu Yi stood up without fear, gave her respects to the Imperial Empress. Your Highness, Bai Ruoqi is embarrassed that the Qin prepared today will not be up to par. She did not expect that Bai Ruoli would perform better than her, so she does not dare to perform. Yi is courageous to say, since she is not willing to perform, let's not make it difficult for her. Allow me to go perform instead. Since the disappearance of Bai Lu Feng, Liu Yi's grandfather Liu Yi became the new #1 master of Southview. The Imperial Empress did not expect for Huang Yuli's Qin skill to be so masterful. Knowing her plan will not come to fruition, she became highly impatient. She just wished for this segment to quickly end and start the next one as soon as possible. Also, the others turned their attention to Bai Ruachi, just flashed within their eyes. The presence of knowing people. Bai Ruachi's reluctance to perform was understood by everyone. As Bai Ruachi's turned redder and redder, she finally made up her mind. Biting the bullet, she said, "I will perform. The Qin also. I will play for everyone a water from high mountains." She knew the rules of the palace. Performing, no matter how bad, is still better than refusal. The latter option was to treat the emperor disrespectfully and possibly suffer punishment. At her wit's end, Bai Ruachi held her cold water Qin and went to the middle. Taking a deep breath, she began to play. Chin raised, Huang Yueli drank her peach wine while listening to Bai Ruachi. In all fairness, Bai Ruachi expended quite a lot of effort on her Qin. Her fingering had reached perfection, but she failed to integrate her feelings. So the sounds always felt a bit stiff. Without Huang Yueli's earlier demonstration, a layman would say that Bai Ruachi's playing is quite good. Sitting on the stage, Bai Ruachi forced herself to calm down to play the Guqin with a calm mind. She must, at least, perform up to her usual standards. She will not allow for them to see any mishaps. However, the more she thought, the harder it was to calm down. Finally, fingers trembled and really missed a note. Finally completing the performance with great difficulty, Bai Ruachi almost fled back to her seat. Today's performance, not only did she fail to become the object of praise, she also made a mess. Did not even achieve half her usual level. If one must use a word to describe it, it would be rotten. In previous years when she performed in the palace, whether in front of the emperor, empress dowager, or imperial empress, she would always receive a reward. But today, the faces of these royals remained expressionless, not expressing a single thought. The imperial empress' brow twitched a bit, apparently somewhat dissatisfied with her. She intended to rely on Bai Ruachi to pressure Huang Yueli and dispel the emperor's thoughts on making this girl the crown prince's imperial concubine. Who knew this girl failed to fly at the crucial moment? Even the applause of the audience was sparse, one of purely courtesy. Right after Bai Ruachi sat down, the imperial empress could not wait to announce the next person. Next up is the third young miss from Dingwa Minister House, Liu Yi. Liu Yi smiled and walked to the middle of the stage. Her belt done, footsteps light, she danced a beautiful raiment of rainbows and feathers. Because this was right after two Qin performances, it was hard for people not to become bored. Liu Yi's dancing skills always were famous in the capital. As a result, watching now it seemed even more refreshing than usual. It immediately won the applause of all. Sitting under the stage, Bai Ruachi almost crushed her cup. A dignified, aristocratic young lady. What need was there to learn dancing? It's not like she was a prostitute. Such an undignified show. Did it deserve such an applause? What made Bai Ruachi more indignant was the crown prince's enthusiastic applause. Using so much vigor, watching so attentively that his eyeballs were almost glued to Liu Yi's swaying and moving waist. Liu Yi, that wily fox, even dared to seduce the crown prince. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli smirked in response. AI, second sister, look quickly. Liu Yi's dancing sure is superb. Beautiful but not bewitching, colorful but not gaudy. Truly a young lady from Dingwa Government House. Ah, this is quality. I also heard that her cultivation talent isn't bad at all. I really respect her. Bai Ruachi was angered to the point of her liver hurting. Completing her dance, Liu Yi was filled with radiant happiness. She even sent a provocative smile to Bai Ruachi afterwards. Jingwa General Manners Qi Tanga, military family Jing's young mistress, went on stage one after the other. A blaze of colors, each holding its own merits. Due to Bai Ruachi's first performance, they did not choose the taboo Qin. Instead, they prepared other forms of entertainment. This would allow them to escape Huang Yueli's world-astounding performance. The only one to show a dreg-like performance ended being Bai Ruachi only. As Bai Ruachi turned angrier and angrier, She consoled to herself that this talent show was but a charade. It meant nothing. No matter how talented one was in this aspect, it was still strength that spoke waves. Finally, the talent show concluded. Not only by Ruachi, even the Imperial Empress felt relieved. This really is a miscalculation. Huang Yueli's limelight was too big. She had to suppress down her glory. Fortunately, the next event was the martial talent competition. It was here that she would utter pummel this trash. There will be no mistake. Regardless of what heavenly skill she possessed, it would be impossible for her to stand back up. As the palace ladies replaced the dishes, everyone drank a few glasses of wine. Gradually, discussions about talent show subsided. The Imperial Empress wasted no time to say, "This royal has heard tell of these young ladies are renowned martial experts, several which are nationally famous female geniuses. Unfortunately, because this royal resides in the royal palace, she has no chance to see." Turning her head, the Imperial Empress smiled at the Emperor. "The Imperial Empress wishes to experience this. What difficulty does this pose? The Imperial Tutor is also present, so we shall invite these young ladies to execute a move or two, whilst also receiving the pointers of the Imperial Tutor." Imperial Tutor? How does this sound? The Imperial Tutor stroked his beard while laughing. This old man is also interested. If one has enough talent, this old one might consider taking them as his disciple. Eyes bright with happiness, the Emperor said, "That is too good." The Imperial Empress immediately laughed. "The Imperial Tutor is our South U's fourth realm expert, and his fighting experiences are the most abundant. Usually he resides in the palace, and only my son the Crown Prince can receive his guidance. To the young ladies present, do not squander this chance." His remark made the entire audience excited. Unexpectedly, not only was it the Imperial concubine selecting banquet, the Imperial Tutor is even considering to take a female disciple. As one of the most influential experts South U's countable fourth realm experts, the Imperial Tutor has always been highly respected. There are only a handful of disciples under his tutelage. Apart from the Crown Princes still residing to the palace, the two disciples he took years before had already left South U for many years already. That being said, the Imperial Tutor dearly doted on his disciple the Crown Prince. His action of accepting a female disciple is clearly for the Crown Prince. This would aid him and ensure his can firmly plant down his influence. Truly used all his consideration and heart. As for the young ladies present, there were very few who could see through to this level. But this does not hinder their eagerness. Set on this notion, the competition flurried. As by Ruachi watched them one by one with her indescribable look, she could not help but sneer. You can also listen on. They are but second-grade talents, third-grade garbage. How could they possibly compare to her? They really thought they would be able to win? They were simply daydreaming. Whether it was the opportunity to become the Imperial Tutor's disciple or the position of Imperial concubine, they were all bound to be hers by Ruachi's. The Imperial Empress coughed, and the noise immediately settled. Well then, this royal will announce the rules. This is not an official martial gathering, but a peach blossom banquet, so there are no strict rules. Everyone can freely pick their opponent. Of course, the challenger may refuse, as it is all voluntarily. We cannot force others to accept. In the Tianling continent, the martial way is respected. At banquets, a testing of the younger generation's prowess has been a long-time tradition. But due to its banquet setting, no formal assessments were in place. As a result, permission and voluntarism was a very important principle to abide by. However, to be challenged yet refuse in such formal occasions like so, it will definitely be a very shameful thing to do. After all, as martial practitioners, to cultivate is already fighting against the heavens. As a result, one can only move forward and never back down. If you encounter a stronger opponent and dare not fight, not only will you gain the despise of others, in more serious cases, this could also affect your future convictions. This will then lead to stagnation. Of course, unless there are special reasons, generally no one would go and challenge those weaker than themselves. This kind of picks off persimmon behavior. Even if one gained victory, they will be regarded as a scum and with ridicule wherever they go. The Imperial Empress continued. In addition, please be sure to pay attention, as this contest is a friendly trade. Be careful to not cause any casualties. After all, we are young ladies from South use noble houses. It would not serve well to break any good relationships. These the few routine explanations taking up a teacup's worth of time. The remainder was left for the displays for these young ladies. After a moment, a petite, round-faced girl stood out and bowed down deeply. She then said, I am the daughter of the Minister of Revenue, Wen Shaowan. My cultivation is the Qi Profound Realm 4th level. I wish to challenge my cousin family, Xiezhong family's second young miss, Xia Ling. The Imperial Empress nodded her head. Xia Ling heard this and immediately stood up to begin the battle. In the open ground in front of the Palace of Peace and Tranquility, an enclosed area had already been set up for the bouts of these golden-spooned young ladies. At the edge of the venue were numerous golden-scaled guards hidden along the sides, ready to rush in the event of uncontrolled circumstances, stopping all battles immediately. The two girls gave the courtesy pre-battle movements and began to move. You go, I come, appearing to be very lively. However, in the eyes of the audience, this sort of test was quite a bore. Wen Shaowan and Xia Ling are second-grade talents, both at the Qi Profound Realm 4th level. And amongst these young ladies, they were ranked in the middle. Moreover, the two had special or unique martial skills for everyone to watch. Their moves were also very cautious in fear of injuring the other side. This caused a complete lack of excitement. Soon, Wen Shaowan gained the upper hand and earned her victory. Below the stage, there was sparse applause. However, the two girls also did not mind. With their cultivation, they knew it would be impossible for them to catch the eye of the imperial tutor. And it is equally impossible to become the crown prince's imperial concubine. But there are so many other princes who will select their imperial concubines. You can also listen on. Apart from the imperial and main concubine, the crown prince still needed to select 4 other side concubines. Originally, none of the ladies present possessed anything outstanding or eye-catching. But the current battles gave them the opportunity to leave a small spark of interest in the various princes. Who knows, maybe their battles captured the attention of a certain prince. With someone paving the way, each of the young ladies began to step up and showcase their talents. Amongst the show, there were a few cases of secular and hidden martial skills appearing. This aroused the interest of the imperial tutor and obtained the bestowals of the imperial empress. There were even a few golden-spooned young ladies who cultivated agility and speed-related techniques, so their moves and strikes appeared like extremely graceful and elegant dances. Extremely pleasing and attention-grabbing. Very quickly, almost every single young lady had stepped up for a challenge. There were only 3 people who had yet to step onto the stage. They haven't even moved their bottoms from the beginning till now. These 3 people were the seeded competitors of the Peach Blossom Banquet. The top 3 candidates were Huang Yueli, Bai Ruoqi, and Lu Yi. These 3, each one was a heavyweight character. Furthermore, they all held extremely high chances of becoming the next imperial empress. None of these competitors had moved an inch and displayed no intention of battling. The only reason why no one challenged Huang Yueli was due to her status as a wastrel. To challenge her, they did not have that much face to lose. While the issue of battling Bai Ruoqi and Lu Yi, not enough courage. Who didn't know Bai Ruoqi as the #1 female cultivator of Southview, the only 4th-grade talent. And with her natural talent and hard work, she had already reached the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm at the tender age of 15. While Lu Yi was only second to the Bai Ruoqi, another talent. 6th level of the Qi Profound Realm at 16 years. As a powerhouse, she also cultivated the Lu family's secret art, Gale Blades. This profound skill was something the Lu ancestor, a 4th realm expert, had handed down to his family. Its power was no laughing matter. As a result, Lu Yi was considered to the 2nd most powerful female cultivator after Bai Ruoqi. With identities such as these relatively talented golden spoon young ladies could only look from afar. who held enough courage to challenge them. After all, as daughters of these influential families, their only goal was to display their talents and obtain the good graces of the Imperial Empress. They had no need to risk their lives. It was simply not worth it. After the other golden-spooned young ladies left the stage, quite some time lapsed by before the next challenge was issued. The entire palace of peace and tranquility settled down. Everyone's gaze traveled and inspected the direction of the sound, by Ruochi and Lu Yi's side. Of these three people, apart from the trash-third young miss, the challengers would naturally be the remaining two. Of these two, either by Ruochi or Lu Yi had made the decision to enter the field. As for their desired opponent, it would definitely be a battle between the two. This would a true battle between the dragon and tiger, the number 1 and 2 ladies of South Yu battling for their honor, and the position of Crown Prince's imperial concubine. As one imagined the scene, emotions welled up inside their heart. Was a question now lay in, who was the one that issued the challenge? And who would be the challenged one? Of the two people, it was finally Lu Yi who stood and walked to the center of the battle stage. Your Imperial Highness, Imperial Empress, my Dinghua House's third young Miss Lu Yi, third-grade talent, had the fortune to break through to the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm 7 days prior. I wish to the challenge Wuwei Manor's second young miss by Ruochi. As the words left her mouth, quite a few spectators spilled their cups of wine. Qi Profound Realm 7th level. Lu Yi actually reached the Qi Profound Realm 7th level? How could this be? She is only a third-grade talent. How could she possibly cultivate this fast? You can also listen on. This you don't know, From what I hear, Dinghua House has recently invited the assistance of Power's alchemist and specially asked him to refine a few pills to assist Lu Yi. Only then was she able to advance to the Qi Profound Realm 7th level. From what I remember, Bai Ruochi is also at the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm. Since this is the case, Lu Yi and Bai Ruochi have the same cultivation? That's right. Lu Yi really hit it deeply. If she is able to defeat Bai Ruochi this time, it would truly become an astonishing affair. As Lu Yi listened to the envious and admiration-filled discussions around her, she could no longer conceal the smile on her face. In the past, her position in the hearts of others had always been second place. No matter how much she strived or how hard she worked to become strong, Bai Ruochi was always a step ahead. Now her cultivation had caught up to Bai Ruochi. Furthermore, she held her family's Gale's blades, a killing ace within her grasp. For two people of the same cultivation, with her arsenal, her winning chances are much higher than Bai Ruochi. She definitely could defeat Bai Ruochi today and snatch the seat of Imperial Concubine. Lu Yi could practically see victory in front of her, defeated by Ruochi and elevating the respect the Crown Princes held for her to a whole new level. Raising her eyebrow, she laughed at Bai Ruochi. Bai Ruochi, do you dare accept? If you are afraid of losing face, you may refuse. After all, Her Highness did say these battles are all about free will. Bai Ruochi nearly laughed out loud. After bottling up so much anger today, she finally had an opportunity to let it all out. Since Lu Yi delivered herself to her doors, then naturally, she would not refuse. As long as she was able to showcase her prowess to everyone on sight and suppress Lu Yi, no matter how bad of an impression the Empress Dowager held of her, it would have no effect. This is the power of strength. In a straightforward manner, Bai Ruochi rose from her seat and replied, Lu Yi, did you really think that your promotion to the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm is enough to pose a threat to me? Lu Yi replied in a tone that implied she held confidence in her victory. We shall see once I try. What? You do not dare. Why would I not dare? Humph. Today I will show you just how large of a difference there is between a 4th-grade talent and 3rd-grade talent. In the battle space, the two parties faced each other. Before the battle could even commence, fire and lightning erupted from their eyes. As soon as the Imperial Empress said the word begin, Lu Yi could not wait but to attack first. Furthermore, her first move was her family's skill. Gale Blades. Gasps erupted from all around. So this is Gale Blades. From what I hear, it is a black level lower grade profound skill. So amazing. From the recounts, Gale Blade has the ability to seriously injure an opponent one small level above them. Previously, Bairuochi possessed a higher cultivation and could still resist. But now with the same cultivations, how will Bairuochi defend against this? Such a powerful move. If it were me, I would have been sent flying already. Even the Emperor couldn't help himself but cry out, "This girl Lu Yi is really not simple." As the number female cultivator, Bairuochi might have to give her title away. Just as Lu Yi's execution was swift as lightning, all her attention and powerful focused on this one move. She made her decision. She was determined to knock down Bairuochi with his one move and win cleanly. As the incoming Gale Blades brought an imposing rush of profound chi, it rushed and enveloped Bairuochi. Quite clearly, Lu Yi used all her efforts for this one move. Just as this 1,000-pound might was about land, Bairuochi actually laughed out crisply. "Lu Yi, you did not think that you could rely on this measly Gale Blade to defeat me? You can also listen on." As those words just finished, they heard a loud pause sound. Bairuochi did not dodge at all. In fact, she counterattacked. Throwing out a hand, Bairuochi disarmed Lu Yi's offensive strike and sent it hurtling back towards her. Bang! Lu Yi was sent flying instantly towards the outside of the stage. Luckily, the Golden Scale guards monitoring the event flew out in time, catching Lu Yi in a timely manner. Regardless, she had been sent flying by Bairuochi's cruel strike, a trail of blood leaking from the corner of her mouth. This change was too sudden. Just then, it was still Lu Yi who held the upper hand. Yet in a single move, she was defeated by Bairuochi. Everyone looked at each other, unable to believe their eyes. Although Bairuochi is pronounced as the nation's #1 female, for her to triumph over the newly promoted Lu Yi was a great surprise. Lu Yi was at the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm and had used all of her strength. Yet she was unable to even harm a hair on Bairuochi. Was Bairuochi that powerful? Struggling up, Lu Yi looked at her in an incredulous manner. Bairuochi, did you break through? You are no longer at the Qi Profound Realm, right?" Proudly, Bairuochi lifted her chin and looked down at Lu Yi's face. Filled with arrogance, her glistening eyes revealed her disdain. "At Lu Yi, you discovered it as expected. You did not predict I would actually be ahead of you. Did you assume I would also be at the Qi Profound Realm 7th level? Let me tell you, since you can break through, others can as well." Eyes stretching wide, she stared unrelentlessly at her. "This cannot be. This cannot be. You were still at the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm just 3 months ago. How could you break through to the 8th level so quickly?" "8th level?" Bairuochi sneered. "Look carefully at what level I really am at." As she said this, she began to release qi from her body and increasing her presence to the maximum. In an instant, everyone felt a suffocating pressure on their bodies. Qi Profound Realm, 9th level. The Crown Prince was the first to react and cried out in shock. "What? It's actually the Qi Profound Realm 9th level? What jokes are you making? Bairuochi, is it the Qi Profound Realm 9th level? You're kidding me, right? Are you sure that you did not make a mistake anywhere? For how can she possibly break through that quickly? If you were to say she is at the 8th level, then it would still be believable. But the 9th level? This is too mind-blowing." But even the Crown Prince said so. He could not have made a mistake, right? The various golden-spooned young ladies below the stage were much weaker in comparison to Bairuochi, so they could only sense she had grown in power. As for the exact growth margin, they were under to tell. But the Crown Prince was far superior to Bairuochi. Once he sensed her qi, he was immediately able to tell her cultivation. Revealing a victorious smile, Bairuochi bowed in the direction of the royal family. She then said in a loud voice, reporting to the Emperor Empress Dowager, Imperial Empress, Imperial Tutor, cheer broke through to the 9th level just last night. Due to the sudden breakthrough, she had yet to announce this. The Emperor displayed an expression of shock. You really have reached the 9th level of the Qi Profound Realm. Cheer, you're only 15, right? 9th level of the Qi Profound Realm, at 15 years. Imperial Tutor, you were also at level in your youth, right? Holding his beard, the Imperial Tutor was full of smiles. Not bad. This child is not simple. Did not expect that apart from the Crown Prince, our South you produced another genius. You can also listen on. The Imperial Empress beamed with a smile. She had, long in her heart, selected by Ruoqi as her daughter-in-law. So she was afraid of Huang Yue inserting herself into the mix. The Imperial Empress was pretty upset by Ruoqi's crushing defeat at the showcase earlier and thought she lacked skills. She couldn't even surpass that straw-bag young sister of hers. Unexpectedly, only a half-hour later, Ruoqi gave her a big surprise. Qi Profound Realm 9th level. This was the Qi Profound Realm 9th level. What did this mean for her to reach this stage at 15 years? Great importance was attached to cultivation. The faster one broke through in their early years, the greater heights they would reach in the future. If Ruoqi could successfully enter the defensive Profound Realm next year, then she was likely to reach the height of the Imperial Tutor. 4th Realm, Dan Profound Realm. In the country of South Yu, experts of this level could be counted. The Crown Prince's potential was already very good, so if this Imperial concubine could also reach this level, then who could threaten his position? The Crown Prince himself was clearly aware of this point. His outlook towards Ruoqi was completely different than before. If the Crown Prince only considered marrying Lu Yi, then currently he could only see Ruoqi in his vision. Lu Yi, of course, was also very beautiful. More so, her personality was much more amicable than Ruoqi's. However, who asked Ruoqi's to have such amazing cultivation? Power is the fundamental and crucial deciding factor. So his imperial concubine could only be Ruoqi. As for Lu Yi, she could only be a side concubine. Only Empress Dowager had a gloomy expression. Her gaze towards Ruoqi was not favorable. A pity, she could not say anything at all. With the strength of Ruoqi, even with her questionable character, it was nothing strange. After all, in this world, the strong suppress the weak. Ruoqi held the potential to become a first-class powerhouses, while Ruoli was born a wastrel. To be bullied by her older sister was due to her bad luck. A trace of a smile hung on Ruoqi's face. She slowly looked at the audience, watching each and every person's expression. All these young ladies who were point fingers earlier in the event now did not dare to even look at her. They feared she would come to them for revenge. Ruoqi raised her chin slightly, feeling very happy inside. Today at the Peach Blossom Banquet, the stifling breath she had been holding in her chest could be finally released. The Emperor was very happy. His appreciation of Ruoqi raised greatly. He rewarded her with numerous cultivational pills and profound armaments. Even the Imperial Tutor viewed her in a positive light. He called her to the front and carefully asked about her cultivation. Finally, the Imperial Tutor's face showed a satisfied smile. Oh, this disciple, this old man will take it. When Ruoqi heard this, she quickly knelt down and immediately commenced the ritual master-disciple. She kowtowed 3 times and solidified their relationship. Disciples who held the potential to reach the 4th realm were very rare. So the Imperial Tutor and Ruoqi were all contented. The Imperial Tutor smiled and looked his newly acknowledged disciple. He then looked at the Crown Prince and said to the Emperor, "Your Highness, since this old one has selected a disciple, then your affair should not be decided already." The affair was naturally the issue of the Crown Prince's spouse. The Emperor heard this. He pondered for a long time, but did not respond. You can also listen on. Bai Liufeng's past friendship with the emperor was still remembered. He did not wish for others to say that he was someone to burn past bridges after crossing. So even with the many years of disappearance, the emperor continued to abide by his promise of engaging his daughter to the crown prince. Even after so many years of the imperial empress's constant ear blowing in regards to Bai Ruoli's appealing reputation, the emperor refused to show the slightest hint of wavering. He never could make the final decision. Furthermore, when he saw that Bai Liufeng's daughter grew to be quite attractive, graceful in elegance, and so skilled in the qin, apart from her inability to cultivate, she did not have any shortcomings, causing the emperor to be unable to say any words of refusal. But Bai Ruoqi was far too outstanding. At age 15, she had reached the 9th level of the Qi Profound Realm. If she were to grow without a hitch, then there would be a high possibility of her becoming a 4th realm expert. These kind of experts were very sparse in Southview. If he did not solidify a relationship through marriage now between the crown prince and Bai Ruoqi, then it would be very hard for them to establish one in the future. As the reigning monarch, he must make decisions for the good of his country. Sinking into a dilemma, there were several instances where the words were at the tip of his mouth, but he still hesitated in the end. Even the Empress Dowager was wavering. Although she was up in her years, that case that happened earlier in the morning in the peach blossom orchard, she still remembered it clearly. Bai Ruoqi's strength was immense. The Empress Dowager was well aware of this fact. If they allowed her to become the crown prince's imperial concubine, it would be most appropriate choice. But she still felt unsettled and indignant about this choice. Bai Ruoqi, this girl, possessed a malicious heart, not even sparing her own cousin, even falling to such rotten tricks. Girls who use such questionable methods, if allowed to enter the royal palace, who knows how chaotic things will become. Furthermore, with such character, how could she take the role as the country's mother, role model to the girls under the sky? Thinking over this repeatedly, the Empress Dowager felt stifled inside and huffed out. Emperor, deciding the crown prince's imperial concubine, just like this, isn't this too rash? What intentions does royal mother mean? Sweeping a look over Bai Ruoqi, the Empress Dowager said, Ai Jia has some words she wishes to say to the emperor. Selecting the crown prince's concubine must first be discussed before announcing the final verdict. But royal mother, the Bai's family's second young miss, has such outstanding talent, and has always held a reputation of a virtuous and kind lady. She is the most suitable candidate. Is there a need to consider it? Hearing those words, the imperial empress turned anxious. By the Empress Dowager's words, she was opposed to Bai Ruoqi's marriage with the crown prince? How would this do? Bai Ruoqi is born with fame, along with her own immense cultivation. Even if she did not wed the crown prince, the emperor will use all methods for her to marry another prince, while the imperial empress only had the crown prince as her own blood child. If Bai Ruoqi were to wed another to give him such a strong backing, wouldn't her own son's position become precarious? As a result, the imperial empress came out to intervene and finalize this marriage. But the emperor himself was still wavering. After much hesitation, he still declared, Royal Mother, what do you wish to say? The Empress Dowager responded, There are too many eyes and mouths here. How about we first leave and discuss this in another palace? Then we return. The emperor nodded in response. It is still Royal Mother who considers everything. Right after the Empress Dowager and emperor left, the imperial tutor followed suite. As the imperial empress intended to follow as well, she heard the calling of the crown prince, Royal Mother. Receiving the hopeful calling of her son, the imperial empress nodded her head slightly. Relax, with your royal mother here, I will definitely allow you to wed Bai Ruoqi. You can also listen on. Study of the Palace of Peace and Tranquility. The emperor, the Empress Dowager, the imperial tutor, and the imperial empress were seated and discussing in hushed tones. The Empress Dowager's face turned bad in an instant. Emperor, there are some words that Ai Jia cannot say. This Bai Ruoqi. has bad character, and is not suitable to become our royal family's daughter-in-law." Not expecting such words, the emperor was at a loss. "Royal mother, what do you mean by these words?" Immediately, the Empress Dowager recounted the events that occurred earlier in the day, clearly for the emperor to judge. No one expected that such events would pass at such a time. In an instant, everyone became dumbfounded. Flabbergasted, the emperor said, "Royal mother, you are certain of this? How could this be? Cheer is someone we watch grow up from young, always kind and virtuous. How could she possibly do such things?" The Empress Dowager replied, "How is this not possible? One can know a person for a long time without understanding their true nature. Dr. Liu has already admitted to this. Today's affairs were something she brought upon herself. Who else could collude with Dr. Liu? And who else could possibly advance to the 9th level of the Qi profound realm so quietly?" Hearing this, the emperor also felt this was quite unusual. A resounding slap ringing on his face. Preposterous. Jin had especially reminded by Lu Jing to carefully look after the daughter by Lu Jing left behind. He agreed readily and willingly, but indulged in the mistreatment of his niece. How is this just mere indulging? Bai Lu Jing is the current master of the house. Without his approval, how could Bai Ruoqi and the others dare to act so atrociously? Reaching this point, the Empress Dowager recalled something else and appeared for indignant. "That's right, there's that consort Shu. Previously, I always regarded her a magnanimous lady, but to save her niece from those crimes, she dared to say anything. In front of AI Jia, she dared to spout killing all for silence. Humph! Treating AI Jia as a retarded senior unable to see through anything?" Furiously, the emperor exploded. This ignorant and stupid woman, unable to distinguish between right and wrong, wasting the dotingly Jun usually gives her. Jun immediately orders her to enter the cold palace. When the imperial empress heard this, she turned blank. She felt both delight and worry. Delight because Consort Shu was currently the most doted-on woman in the harem and had long been unable to bear this fox. Unfortunately, Consort Shu always treaded very carefully, never making a mistake. Thus, she never could capture a weakness of hers. But this time, Consort took the initiative to offend the Empress Dowager. She had personally paved the path to her doom. She estimated that she would lose all favor this time. What made her worry was the definitive tone of the Empress Dowagers. Did that hint that she is insistent on by Ruoqi's crime, saying that she held no right to marry into the royal family? The imperial empress did not think this way. Only someone powerful would be worthy of matching her crown prince. So what if her character is somewhat poorer? This conclusion is much better than being married to another prince, right? When she thought of this point, the imperial empress quickly opened her mouth. "Royal mother, you are certain it is Cheer who acted from behind the scenes? Did you not just say that the criminal is only Dr. Liu, this one person? And it is only because he was captured that he confessed. As for the evidence, it has yet to be found. To solidify by Ruoqi's crimes now, isn't this a bit too hasty?" "What? You mean to say AI Jia's analysis is incorrect?" the Empress Dowager asked, somewhat displeased. Hurriedly, the imperial empress responded, No, this concubine did not mean that. It is only by Ruoqi's current identity is somewhat special. Reaching the 9th level of the Qi profound realm at 15 years old, an extraordinary talent. If not even one trustworthy piece of evidence has been produced, but her crimes already pinned. If this were to spread out, would this not become the emperor's fault? Note, for those confused, Crown Prince is the son of the imperial empress, i.e. is the official and #1 waifu of the emperor. Empress Dowager, if the mother of Consort Shu, is a harem member and aunt to BRQ. CS is one of 4 consorts who have the highest status under IE. You can also listen on. Ashen-faced was the Empress Dowager, although she understood what the Imperial Empress was conveying, but when she recalled the trickery by family of Wu Wei Manor playing her like a fool, she could not help but be angered. AI Jia did not say that she is condemning Bai Ruoqi of her crimes now. Shouldn't everything be investigated first, right? We still need to wait a few days for evidence to be found? As the Imperial Empress was struggling to produce an appropriate response, the Imperial Tutor spoke out. Your Highness Empress Dowager, forgive this old man's words. Even if we find evidence, we cannot declare second young Miss Bai's crime. Glaring, the Empress Dowager replied with displeasure. Imperial Tutor, AI Jia, and the Emperor have always held high regard for you. But you cannot disregard state law. Although Bai Ruoqi is your disciple, since there is evidence for her crime, she must accept the consequences. Then I ask your Highness, what crimes are you condemning Bai Ruoqi? Frankly speaking, she merely plotted against her own younger sister, and this did not implicate any lives. Frankly, these are all affairs of Wu Wei Manor. Even if it were the royal family, you cannot freely butt into the family affairs of another, right? Even if Dr. Lu's words are true, it only proves that Bai Ruoqi's character is bad. It is not enough to imprison her. The Imperial Tutor spoke with justice and logic, shutting the Empress Dowager up in an instant. The Empress Dowager knew the Imperial Tutor was only acting on behalf of his new disciple to shed her of her crimes. Yet she could not refute in any way. This was because the Imperial Tutor's words were all correct. This was a matter between young ladies of the family. And according to logic, outsiders held no rights to meddle in their affairs. If it weren't because Bai Ruoli being the daughter of Bai Lufeng, it would be impossible for her to butt in. Furthermore, the Imperial Tutor had a very high standing. Just like the Imperial Empress, she could not force them to abide by her wishes. Wrinkling her brows, the Empress Dowager said, this would not be considered a crime, but she can't possibly become the imperial concubine of the crown princes? Imperial concubine to the crown prince would be the future imperial empress, mother of the country. With her character, how will she be a good role model to young girls? This will impact the fate of your country. The Imperial Tutor replied, absolutely improbable, Your Highness Empress Dowager. If we do allow Bai Ruoqi to the crown prince's concubine, this would be the thing to impact the fate of our country. This words? How come AI Jia does not understand? The Imperial Tutor began to explain. Your Highness Empress Dowager, think about this carefully. So many small countries surround South Yu, and their power is about the same. Which country does not wish to obtain a future Fourth Realm expert as their Imperial Empress? If our crown prince is unwilling to take Bai Ruoqi as his imperial concubine, this might give other royal households to snatch her away. These words troubled the emperor. During this time, he listened to the conversation between the Empress Dowager and Imperial Tutor from the side and did not speak up until now. He could no longer help himself. Imperial Tutor, your words make sense. Furiously, the Empress Dowager cut in. Even if this is the case, we cannot allow her to become the Imperial Empress. Anyway, AI Jia does not agree to wed her to the Crown Prince. Apart from the Crown Prince, are there not many other princes? The third prince is also a fourth-grade talent, although a bit inferior. He can barely qualify. Hearing this, the Imperial Empress was all the more anxious. What she feared most was the third prince taking her future daughter-in-law. Your Highness Empress Dowager, quell your anger. Although the difference between a fourth-grade talent and fifth-grade talent is merely a single grade, but this difference is as different as the sky and earth. How would Bai Ruoqi be willingly to wed the third prince? The Empress Dowager knew this as well. She spoke the truth, but the Empress Dowager remained angered. Why would she be unwillingly? After all, the person with the engagement to the crown prince is Bai Liufeng's daughter, Bai Ruoli. She is the cockatoo occupying the magpie's nest. You can also listen on. The emperor let loose a sigh, feeling somewhat at a loss. That's right. Despite Bai Ruoqi's crimes, if we allowed her to become the crown prince's imperial concubine, how would I possibly explain to Bai Lufeng if he returns? So I just recalled how just he was. If this promise was to be broken, where Zhen also allows his daughter to be bullied, how can there still be justice? The imperial tutor snored from the side and turned a bit depressed. He remembered when Bai Lufeng was still a child, the imperial tutor was already a top expert of South Yu. At that time, when the imperial tutor saw Bai Lufeng, who just entered the first realm of cultivators, he wished to take that child as his disciple. But the result? He was rejected by this commoner-born child. The imperial tutor had always been an easy-to-anger person with low tolerance. At the time of his rejection, he felt very offended, but he could not find an opportunity to take revenge. The reason being the sheer speed of Bai Liufeng's advancement. It was flying fast, a speed that far surpassed the imaginations of people like the imperial tutor. Superior talent, 8th grade talent. At the age of 17, he had reached the 4th realm and stood on equal footing at the imperial tutor. In the next few years, it was a path of breakthroughs. Afterwards, the imperial tutor could not longer tell the level Bai Lufeng had attained. Not only this, Bai Lufeng had replaced his position and became the one the emperor relied on most and trusted most. Fortunately, after a few years, Bai Lufeng mysteriously disappeared, allowing the imperial tutor to regain his lost position. But the degree of trust the emperor held for Bai Lufeng always far surpassed the imperial tutor's. He did not expect that even after so many years of Bai Liufeng's disappearance, the emperor would still feel guilt over the mistreatment of his daughter. When the imperial tutor heard the emperor's words, the imperial tutor's mood turned foul. In his eyes, no matter the contribution Bai Lufeng had given, those were all past affairs. Under the current circumstance, Bai Ruoli is a typical trash. Without the protection of her daddy, she should not obstruct the crown prince and affect his future and the future of the country. Stroking his beard, he frowned slightly and sank deep into thought. Suddenly his eyes flashed with an idea. Your Majesty, this old one has an idea. The year you promised Lord Bai, you did not necessarily mean Bai Ruoli and the crown prince. You did not forget this, right? Startled, the emperor replied. What? How could this be? Jin clearly remembered that we were in the eastern lotus pavilion of the Yu Garden. At that time, Madame Bai had just fallen pregnant and had accompanied her husband into the royal palace. Mo Jun was only 6 at the time, and his talent had already been revealed. When Lufeng saw this, he was very pleased, and Jun brought it up as a joke. Recalling the memory, the emperor suddenly revealed an expression of surprise and stopped speaking. The imperial tutor chuckled and laughed. My emperor, you have remembered? At the time, this old one was also present and heard the dialogue between you and Bai Lufeng. The child in Madame Bai's stomach, if a female, would naturally be the most talented female, while the crown prince is the most talented male. If the two most talented children were to become a pair, their children would be golden boys and jade maidens. A match made in heaven. The emperor continued. That's right, Jin did say this. Laughing, the imperial tutor continued his recount. My emperor, please look. What you said at the time was to bestow South Yu's most talented female as his spouse. So naturally this still means the crown prince and Bai Ruochi. This is completely unrelated to Bai Ruoli. But the emperor continued to waver. If we must explain like this, wouldn't this be a bit too forced? Back then, these words were clearly directed at the child in Madame Bai's stomach, as such for Jun's words. Furthermore, it was for Bai Lufeng that Jun. Current schedule, 6 regular happy doses a week. You can also listen on. The imperial empress quickly voiced her support. The imperial tutor speaks the truth. This concubine was also present at the time, so she heard those exact same words. Not to mention Bai Ruochi is also Bai Liufeng's niece. By choosing her, the emperor is giving them great favor. As the proverb says, one pen cannot write 2 names. How can we say we are letting down Lord Bai? As the imperial empress spoke, her eyes shone with a grateful light. Originally, she was still distressing over how to convince the emperor and empress dowager. But she was restricted by her harem status, so those words could not be said. The imperial tutor thus assisted her immensely. If she is able to make Bai Ruochi the crown prince's imperial concubine, She must prepare a few precious gifts to really thank the imperial tutor. That year when the crown prince became his disciple, it was the correct choice. Listening to this, the emperor thought those words sounded fair and did not refute them. Thinking over it, the imperial empress dowager spoke out carefully to supplement her previous words. Emperor, allowing Bai Ruoli to marry into the palace may not necessarily be helping her. If you truly wish the best for her, then you should not make her the crown prince's imperial concubine. In this way, you will be truly making the best decision for Bai Lufeng. The emperor frowned at those words. What do you mean by those words? The imperial empress explained. Apart from the imperial concubine, the crown prince also has 4 side concubines. All positions and titles that must be given in accordance to the law. As for these 4 side concubines, each must be chosen from prestigious families, all with talents of the 2nd grade or higher. Bai Ruoli possesses a physique that does not allow her to cultivate. So even if she were to sit on the position of imperial concubine, how can she possibly suppress the 4 side concubines? I'm afraid in the crown prince's palace, it would be hard to avoid being bullied every day. This was a big fact, a very reasonable argument. As a result, after listening to their arguments, the emperor's biggest misgiving had been expelled. All that remained was a final sliver of hesitation. But Wu Manor did mistreat Bai Ruoli. This is very simple. The imperial tutor cut in this time. My emperor, you can make a personal edict to punish Bai Lujing to denounce him of his crimes, but leave Bai Ruoqi out. Is he not forcefully occupying Bai Ruoli's personal assets? Order him to return at double the value to Bai Ruoli and apologize on the spot. And for his daughter's future, he will definitely agree. The emperor nodded his head. The imperial tutor continued at this signal. As for Bai Ruoli's matters, this can be easily solved. Since there are still so many other princes needing to select their concubines, apart from the crown prince, whichever one she takes fancy to shall be given to her for marriage. She is already a lord, so we might as well add the title of princess. For the marriage dowry, we shall give her the same status like a princess. In this way, who will dare complain that the emperor is mistreating Bai Liufeng's daughter? Considering for a period more, the emperor finally gave in. The imperial tutor speaks great truth then we shall act like so. The emperor and company left the study and returned to the banquet hall. Unexpectedly, it was not tranquil at all. Just as the emperor and company left, the Bai Ruoqi slowly walked down from the stage. On the way, not a single golden-spooned young lady dared to make eye contact. The entire hall was exceptionally quiet. Intimidating the entire scene, Bai Ruoqi felt quite pleased. She turned her head to look at Bai Ruoqi. She wished to see how clever and eloquent, crafty this damned girl could still be. Could she possibly be shivering from head to toe, paralyzed to putty? On the contrary, the truth was the opposite of what she imagined. Huang Yueli did not shake from fear, nor was she greatly startled. So much that she didn't even bat an eye in Bai Ruoqi's general direction. Head tilted, she supported it with the hand on the table, while her other hand picked up a piece of peach paste to slowly sample it. You can also listen on. Furthermore, as she ate, she also smacked her lips in a most indulging way. Happiness plastered across her entire face. Bai Ruoqi practically turned green and couldn't help but say, Bai Ruoli, what are you doing? Only then did Huang Yueli notice her. Turning her head, she blinked her large watery eyes and displayed an innocent and pure smile. She then ate the remaining half of the peach cake. Second sister, I'm eating peach cakes? You couldn't have never tried them before? Let me tell you, this is very delicious. Sweet and fragrant, soft and sticky. The royal palace's chef skills are too good. Hurry up and come taste them. Bai Ruoqi's forehead muscles tensed together as a flaming ball of anger rose in her heart, about to explode any minute. Everyone else looked at Huang Yueli in shock as they wondered if third young Miss Bai's brain was broken or too filled with sheet. Could she not see? Bai Ruoqi planned to seek her debts. Just then in front of the Empress Dowager, Huang Yueli made Bai Ruoqi suffer such a big loss and nearly captured for punishment. So now, after Bairuachi's display of her prowess, she planned to use her power to prove her unshakable status. Bairuachi planned to take revenge for the past event. As long as she did not disfigure or disable Huang Yueli, in face of her astonishing talent, the emperor will not punish her too severely. Was Huang Yueli unable to make heads or tails of the circumstances, or what? Instead of hurriedly begging for forgiveness, she was still in the mood to eat, and deliberately brought a piece over for Bairuachi to eat? Later, she wouldn't even know how she died. Only Li Moying did not worry for Huang Yueli in the slightest. He was looking at the little fox with a mixture of love and hate. Looking at the remains of the cake still lingering on her tender lips, he resisted the urge to rush over and lick it off. This little thing. Why, even her calculating manner appeared so adorable. Every time he wished to give up, he could not help but pay attention to her. Every time, without reason, his gaze was drawn back to her. Only this adorable wittiness did not belong to him. Choking for a moment, and maybe because Bairuachi's opinion of herself had changed, she did not flare up in anger. Looking at Huang Yueli with hatred, she questioned, Bairuoli, your stupidity act, did you really not see my display just then? You did not see my cultivation? Huang Yueli batted her eyes. I really didn't take notice. It's all because the cake is too tasty. This caused Bairuachi to erupt. Bairuoli, you still dare act? When did I act? Huang Yueli's voice sounded as innocent as it could be. Clenching her teeth, Bairuachi glared at her. She could not believe it. Even with things reaching this degree, this damned girl, she still held the ability to anger people to death. If changed in normal times, she would have long taken out her whip. Fortunately, she had some sense. She knew that if she acted this way in front of the emperor, the titles of vicious and merciless will truly be solidified on her name. Now, even though her current reputation was a bit tarnished, it could not influence her becoming the crown prince imperial concubine. But she did not wish for others to see her make a fool of herself again. Realizing this point, Bairuachi released a breath and forcibly smothered the rage within. Bairuoli, the events earlier this morning, you forgot this quickly? In front of the Empress Dowager, you deliberately framed me ruining my name. You want this matter to pass over so easily? You can also listen on. But Huang Yueli vacantly muttered, Second sister, I know that you lost face this morning and still feel very angry. But that isn't really related to me, right? Did you hear me say a single bad word about you? No, right? Everything said was through Dr. Lu's own mouth. Everyone here can bear witness for me? Bairuachi refuted in rage. Shut up. Let's see who dares testify for you. Come out. Everyone lowered their heads, not daring to make a peep. The previous Bairuoli didn't have any friends, so naturally no one would step out sacrifice themselves for her. As for these golden-spooned young ladies, even if they couldn't bear it, who would willingly put themselves in harm's way for someone they didn't even consider a friend? The person they will be offending will be the crown prince's imperial concubine. This caused Bairuachi to look at Huang Yueli in triumph. Do you see? No one can testify for you. This proves that you are lying. Clearly, it was you who deliberately slandered me and drugged your own cousin in the royal palace. Our Bai family. How could we produce such a heartless and dog-hearted thing? Huang Yueli's slender fingers turned around to point at her own nose. Eyes wide open, her luscious eyelashes fluttered, much like a newborn forest fawn. Second sister, you were talking about me? Pooh. From the seats of the princes, a sound came through and shattered the silence. Everyone turned their heads to see the immortal-like king you take out a silk handkerchief to slowly wipe his mouth. His expression indifferent. Why are you all looking at this king? It was merely an accidental choke. Fiercely, Bairuachi glanced at Li Moying without the slightest bit of respect. Although she did not know the reason for Prince Yu's intervention, but he was but a trash prince. In front of Bairuachi's current strength, even if he were a prince, he still must show some courtesy to her. Let alone Prince Yu, who could not cultivate. If Prince Yu planned to be the hero saving beauty, by Ruachi will not give him any face. But Li Moying did not reveal any expressions and casually waved his hand. And do not mind this, king. You continue. Only the gods knew if he truly intended to break the fight between the two. Huang Yueli's expression when she was playing with others was just too amusing to watch. So he momentarily lost control of himself and let out a small laugh. As a result, he could only hurriedly pretend to wipe his mouth. Speaking of which, His Highness Prince was quite melancholic. If this was seen through by that little fox, that he still cared very much about her words. Oh, how embarrassing that will be. Oh dear. At least he was sensible. Bairuachi coldly snorted and turned her head back around to continue to speak to Huang Yueli. Don't act stupid with me. I am speaking about you. Huang Yueli, on the other hand, was still looking at Li Moying. But Li Moying had shifted to the side, a clear sign that he did not wish to look at her. As feelings of sadness were bubbling, this caused her to miss Bairuachi's words. Looking at her, Bairuachi was furious at her gall to be lost in thought. Bairuoli, did you hear me? This looked like a shouting lioness, with a loud enough volume. Huang Yueli could no longer pretend to not hear her. Scratching her ear, she looked at her innocently. I am listening. Second sister, please lower your volume, for you are South Yu's #1 virtuous lady. Shouting so loudly would be quite embarrassing. Don't act naive. Bairuoli, let me tell you, today's events will not pass this easily. Then, what do you wish to do to me? You can also listen on. Huang Yueli asked this question purely out of curiosity. Unfortunately, Bao Ruachi misunderstood this as fear. She looked at Huang Yueli chillingly and said, Very simple. I will give you 2 paths. Which 2? The first road will be you kowtowing to me 3 times and sincerely apologizing. The kowtows must be loud enough so I can clearly hear them. Otherwise, you will kowtow until I am satisfied. Huang Yueli could not help but chuckle inside. Bairuachi really had a dark heart. If the sound was not loud enough, then she would deliberately make things difficult. If she could not hear anything, she must continue until there were sounds. By then her head would have probably be bleeding from all that smashing. There were even reports of people smashing their head unconscious. Moreover, physical injury will be a trivial matter. To be tormented by someone like so, they would have lost their face all the way back home. She asked again, then the second path? A touch of sneer formed on Bairuachi's face. The second path. Since you are unwilling to apologize for common people to denounce skilled cultivators is a great sin. Even if they were killed by the practitioner, it will still be reasonable. Of course, you are my cousin. It will be impossible for me to kill you. I will just draw on your face so you can no longer seduce men. And then things will be settled. Huang Yueli revealed an astonished expression. Wait, so second sister means to say is, I need to ruin my face? Do you need to so ruthless? I am your cousin. What's the matter? You are a waste who dare to slander me. This can already be considered lenient. Practitioners naturally hold higher statuses than normal people, as they are holders of life and death. This is the same in any country. But second sister, you are a soft and tender girl from a wealthy family. Not only this, you are known to be a model example of a lady. By acting so viciously, are you not afraid of others calling you a female snake scorpion? Hearing these words, Bairuachi nearly went crazy. Everyone already thinks I am a female snake scorpion. Even the Empress Dowager thinks so. Who caused this? Bairuoli, let me tell you, I do not care anymore. Today you will either kowtow or ruin your face. Huang Yueli patted her chest with a scared expression. Weakly she asked, then, if I do not choose either? Bairuachi sneered. That cannot do. Give you 3 breaths to decide. If you do not, I will choose for you. 3, 2, 1. Bairuachi quickly counted down, giving no pause or rest. After a few moments, she immediately muttered a stupid and took out a dagger. Smiling, She walked towards Huang Yueli. It seems you want me to help you choose. Then I will choose to disfigure you. Oh, do not run, for running is useless. I did not run. Huang Yueli blinked her eyes, looking like an obedient child, but in her heart she was sneering. By Ruoqi, by Ruoqi, a real representation of walking the path to one's own doom. Since she liked to receive the despise of others so much, then she will let her know what is disfigurement. Otherwise, wouldn't she be giving up on their closely sisterly bond? Step by step, by Ruoqi inched forward and closed the distance between the two. Many golden-spooned young ladies did not have the heart to watch, so they closed their eyes. In their point of view, it would be fundamentally impossible for Huang Yueli to resist to. Once she fell into the hands of Bai Ruoqi, will certainly be miserable. No one could save her. Lu Yi cried out from the edge. Bai Ruoqi, you don't be impulse. You can also listen on. Unfortunately, Bai Ruoqi did not even place that person in her eyes, not sparing a single glance. Huang Yueli smirked. Gathering her profound energy in the palm of her hand, she prepared to give Bai Ruoqi an unforgettable lesson. Before she could send this strike out, an imposing and dignified voice echoed from the entrance. What are you doing? Your Majesty. Respects to His Majesty. Frightened, a sheen of cold sweat appeared on Bai Ruoqi. Hurriedly, she hid the knife into her bosom and adjusted her malevolent expression, as well as her body posture. This was also quite unexpected for Huang Yueli. Just as Bai Ruoqi's knife was about to fall and land into her intricate plan, she had to retract her profound strength. Copying the moves of others, she quickly paid her respects. With an expression of displeasure, the emperor addressed Bai Ruoqi. Bai Ruoqi, Bai Ruoli, what were you two doing? Heart jumping, Bai Ruoqi continued to maintain that expression of tranquilness as she replied. Responding to the emperor, we were not doing anything. I was only exchanging a few words with third sister. Exchanging? What were you exchanging about? Wrinkling his brow, the emperor sent out his imposing aura and appeared more awe-inspiring. On this return trip with the Empress Dowager, they could already hear the commotion from afar. They specially asked the eunuch to not announce their arrival and walk over to catch them off guard. What they saw was the two Bai family young ladies about to break out into a fight. Did not think that from such a short time of absence, these two were able to start quarreling. It could be seen that the Empress Dowager's previous words were not exaggerated in the least. The displeasure could be seen in the emperor's eyes, and severe was his tone. Heart beating rapidly, Bai Ruoqi hastily kneeled down. Calm your anger, Your Majesty. We were really exchanging a few words and failed to take note of the occasion and spoke in slightly loud voices, offending the emperor as well as the several empresses. This is all Chier's fault. Hearing that our words were not sincere, the emperor turned to question Huang Yueli. Lear, how would you explain what is happening? Turning her head, Bai Ruoqi used a hidden and dark gaze to hint at Huang Yueli to threaten her. On the contrary, Huang Yueli did not bother with her and replied, Your Majesty, we were just talking about the events that occurred in the peach blossom orchard earlier this morning. Second sister, she drugged my wine but ended up harming herself. Yet she says that I was slandering her. Bai Ruoqi immediately interrupted her. Enough. Bai Ruoli, that was you who wished to tarnish me. I already gave you face by not reporting it to the emperor. Yet you dare so venomously spit blood? Bai Ruoli glared at Huang Yueli frostily. She held absolute faith that she would not be held accountable. After all, for a genius like her, to bully her younger sister is not a grave or offensive thing. That could not be considered much at all. So, today's events in the face of her revealed talent, they would not be enough to pose any threat. What Bai Ruoqi was afraid of was her current actions may possibly not be giving the emperor due respect. If she was captured, she would be in the wrong. But under the current circumstances, the emperor did not see her take out any knife. He assumed that she was only quarreling with Huang Yueli. With such assumptions, she did not have to worry at all. As expected, before the emperor could say anything, the imperial empress was a step ahead and spoke out. Enough, today's affairs this royal already understands. This matter was provoked by that charlatan Dr. Liu. Just then, the emperor had personally commanded that Dr. Liu will be sent to Dark Moon Forest for manual labor. You can also listen on. As she said this, the imperial empress's line of sight passed over by Ruoqi and Huang Yueli. As for you two, you are still cousins, and both are young misses of Wuwei Manor. To quarrel so openly in the royal palace, and from just a few words of an outsider. Too unsightly. In the future, with this matter over, do not dare to mention it ever again. Return and carefully reflect on yourselves. Each one of you copy the female virtues 5 times. Once you are done, hand it to this royal. Finishing her words, the imperial empress appeared to be quite just. In actuality, she was still protecting by Ruoqi. If they were to really conduct an in-depth investigation, then it would be by Ruoqi's fault. At the time of the two's location, everyone in the area witnessed all that occurred. They will all say that it was by Ruoqi who started everything. Of course, as a person who could not cultivate, no matter what, Huang Yueli would not have the guts to provoke a Qi Profound Realm 7th level practitioner. By Ruoqi, therefore, the Imperial Empress intended to stumble by this matter completely, giving both parties a crime that could not considered a crime. Then give some punitive punishment to settle the case. She would absolutely not allow such matters to interfere with the Crown Prince's great affairs. The emperor was somewhat angry, but also want to punish by Ruoqi severely, at least lecture her to some degree. This would warn her not to bully Huang Yueli in the future. However, after listening to the words of the imperial empress, he remembered the conclusion that came to back in the Empress Dowager's study. It is the important day to decide the future concubines of the Crown Prince, and by Ruoqi's talent, absolutely could not be lost. As for the other matters, they can sort it in the future. Moreover, the of the two's argument caused the emperor to further trust the conclusion the imperial tutor and imperial empress came to. Huang Yueli is a wastrel and could not marry the crown prince. She really did not have the ability to suppress the members of the harem. To find her a rich but ordinary husband will make her life very comfortable. Thinking to her here, the emperor's eyes fell on Prince Yu thoughtfully. The emperor nodded and said, "By Ruoqi, you are the elder sister. In any case, you should always give way for your younger sister. Moreover, you may even have to be sister-in-laws, needing to coexist in harmony." With his remark, a burst of excitement appeared on by Ruoqi and the crown prince's faces. What sister-in-laws do they mean? It's unlikely that they will allow by Ruoqi to marry an ordinary prince, right? Obviously, the emperor was implying that by Ruoqi had been chosen as the imperial concubine, while Huang Yueli most likely is going to wed another prince. By Ruoqi hurriedly went to her knees and said, "Yes, Cheer knows she is wrong and will remember this. I will listen to the instructions of the imperial empress and go back to give her a good reflection. Diligently reflect on myself. Third sister's 5 copies of female virtues I will complete in her instead." If one had not seen her previous actions, just based on her current performance, she really looked like a good elder sister. However, the emperor had just learned from the Empress Dowager, by Ruoqi's true colors. So looking at her this performance, he could not help but sigh a little more. What a pity, one cannot have both moral character and strength. If by Liufeng's own daughter could have that cultivation instead, how good would that be? Alas, he could only wishfully dream. Huang Yueli looked at the emperor and imperial empress faces, her heart clearer than ever. It seems these palace giants had come to a conclusion. They had decided to make by Ruoqi the crown prince's imperial concubine. However, this was simply to be expected. Huang Yueli also felt that the emperor had nothing to be apologetic about. In the face of by Ruoqi's excellent display of talent, if the emperor did not choose her, he would have been the retarded one. You can also listen on. In the Tianling continent where the strong ruled the weak, if a ruler were too kind, then that country would have long disappeared in the annals of history. But if by Ruachi believed she was already sitting in the seat of imperial concubine, then she was much too naive. The corners of Huang Yueli's mouth gently hooked up. Her trip today was to prevent Bai Ruachi from becoming the imperial concubine. How could she possibly leave her satisfied? Coming to this juncture of the show, it was time for her to take the stage. Deciding on this course, she retreated without a sound. Bai Ruachi misunderstood as she had finally realized her place. Thinking to herself, she recalled the countless times she had plotted against Huang Yueli. Finally, she was able to gain the upper hand, letting out a breath of resentment. Bai Ruachi felt happy inside and turned to look proudly at her. The emperor returned to his seat and looked at the audience with complex expressions. He then gestured towards Unicorn behind to read out the imperial edict. Unicorn stepped forward and slowly started to open the bright yellow silk decree to read aloud. Accepting the heavenly mandate, the emperor imperial words. Wu Wei Manor by Liujing's daughter Bai Ruachi, with outstanding talent, appearance and virtue, gentle and generous, worthy of the name of model woman. A special bestowment of princely Majuan, imperial concubine, will be finalized. Acknowledge this. The silence reigned in the banquet hall, despite having guessed the end result. But when everyone saw such an arrogant and vicious Bai Ruachi finally receiving the crown prince's imperial concubine status, many young ladies felt indignant. But who told her to have such powerful talent? The more one thought, the madder they became. Bai Ruachi kneeled in the middle and reluctantly suppressed a smile. Respectfully, she kowtowed and took the imperial edict from Unicorn. However, just as her fingers touched the bright yellow silk scroll, she heard a familiar voice. Wait, I want to protest. No one expected in such a solemn setting. Someone dared to interrupt. And so, unceremoniously, everyone's eyes immediately turned to the speaker's direction. The next moment, wows echoed about. That's Bai Ruoli. She dared to jump out to protest? Hey, what will happen with her protest? The emperor has already decided, even if the date is not fixed. What qualifications does she have to compete with Bai Ruachi? Then you are the ignorant one. If you do not have the qualifications, you would not jump out, right? From what I heard, Bai Lufeng left some letter for her. Oh, in any case, this will be a good show to watch. Whispering amongst themselves, the various Golden Spoon daughters held many gloating faces. Although they did not believe Huang Yueli could really pose a threat to Bai Ruachi, but who allowed Bai Ruachi to be this eye-catching? To be able to give her some trouble will make them very happy. Bai Ruachi wished to kill Huang Yueli with her eyes. Bai Ruoli, you again? What do you want to do? Huang Yu blinked pitifully, appearing like being severely bullied little white cabbage. Second sister, I did not want to do that. It should be me asking you what you want to do. You know I have a marriage agreement with the crown prince. How can steal other people's love? Furthermore, it is your future brother-in-law. If this were to spread, others will think that our Bai family lacks upbringing. You can also listen on. You. When Bai Ruachi heard those words, her face changed greatly from Huang Yueli's sharp intentions. These days, there were many people who gossiped in regards to the bullying of her cousin, and that she also stole of the position of Wu Wei Manors by family's young miss and snatched her brother-in-law. Although Bai Ruachi felt she deserved all these things, but the ugly words of outsiders had greatly upset her. Now this trash girl dared to step on her sore feet. Was she tired of living? She sneered. Bai Ruoli, please understand this. That was the emperor's verbal agreement. While I am appointed as the imperial concubine through an official imperial edict, the so-called marriage agreement between you and the crown prince is but casual and random side talk. It cannot be taken seriously. As a girl, speaking of marriage so easily, robbing cherished things, do you still have face? Second sister, the meaning behind a thief calling out a thief. I have realized today. I have tolerated you previously, but you are pushing harder and harder. Since this is the case, Do not blame me for my ruthlessness. Huang Yueli turned her cold eyes away. Bai Ruoqi almost laughed out loudly. You want to treat me ruthlessly? How will you do that? Huang Yueli looked at her with an arrogant smile, eyes more chilling than ever. She no longer paid attention to Bai Ruoqi and turned to face the emperor. Bowing slightly, she gestured filled with politeness. Looking up, she unscrupulously opened her mouth. Your Majesty, there is one thing Lear does not quite understand. I heard before my father left Southview, he had left behind a marriage agreement, and that was with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. My daddy left me a letter to explain this matter, writing that when I turned 15, the Emperor would bestow me with marriage and fulfill the marriage engagement of that year. Pausing slightly, Huang Yueli's teeth gently bit her pink lips. Her red eyes filled with unlimited grievances. I thought that the reason your Majesty invited me to the royal palace today is for this marriage affair. How would I expect? Why did you bestow that upon my second sister and announce her as the imperial concubine? Did you make mistake somewhere? Huang Yueli spoke with great control and levelness. First she mentioned Bai Lufeng, evoking old sentiments from within the emperor, and then put on an aggrieved retreating stance to ask if there was a mistake. This is much better than direct questioning. At least, the emperor himself would feel a little hard-pressed to answer in time. This thing was quite correct. He also felt very apologetic. Jean has Jean's considerations. Could it be I had done something wrong? No, this is not your problem. Li girl, you do not be sad. Although you cannot be the imperial concubine, but Jin's still many other talented sons. You can pick anyone you please. Jean's next imperial edict will bestow you as Princess Changle, 3,000 cattle and the best piece of land to the east to you, giving you the best scenery. The emperor appeased her. After listening to this, apart from the crown prince and Prince Yu, everyone displayed expressions like they had just eaten flies. Royal father will not really do so, in the place of the crown prince, and make them marry a cultivational trash? Whoever marries this blockage of a woman, wouldn't they be doomed and unable to crawl away from that tragic life? Although she had a generous dowry, looks very cute, but how could this woman be their main concubine? Among them, the third prince felt the most crisis. As the next best talented prince behind the crown prince, he felt that Huang Yueli will surely choose him. After all, not only is he elegant, he was also a handsome expert. You can also listen on. Unable to marry such a talented woman such as Bai Ruoqi, the third prince already felt quite unlucky. Unexpectedly, an even worse outcome was presented to him, and that was to wed that wastrel. The third prince frowned and looked to his handsome second elder brother. A light bulb lit up. He patted Li Moing's shoulder and said, "Second brother, why are you not trying your chance and marry third young Miss Bai? People like third young Miss Bai with status, beauty, and dowry are rare. Handsome and beautiful. Of all our brothers, you two make a perfect match." The third prince shuffled to Li Moing's side, seeming to whisper when in fact his voice was audible and very one could clearly his words. His words held intentional sinister tones. In fact, this was to remind the emperor and imperial empress there was a more suitable candidate for Huang Yueli. Quickly give Li Moing to her and prevent future detrimental after effects. These words, on the surface it complimented the two people, while secretly implying both only possess a good-looking face. Apart from this, they had nothing, so they suit each other the most. What kind of person is Li Moing? How could he possibly miss that hint? His pair of fierce eyes swept over the third prince without notice, inwardly sneering. Simply did not know the circumstances. But the third prince said that he and the little fox were the perfect match. In light of this comment, he will spare him today. Li Moing's beautifully shaped lips, along with his slender fingers, gently knocked the tabletop. In a flat tone, he said, "Even if I am willing to marry, third young Miss Bai may not be willing." Although he spoke casually, his heart was secretly anticipating the result. If these two could really establish a marriage engagement, Of course, this was his innermost wish. Sure enough, when Huang Yueli heard this, she immediately interrupted him. Of course I do not want her. My daddy said that my agreement is with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. This little heartless little girl, Liamo, shadow, almost chopsticks in the hands, to the broken. Although he also knew that Huang Yueli did not intentionally go against him, but to achieve her other motives. However, to hear her disdain for him and refuse to consider the slightest possibility of a marriage with him, but another man, this feeling, it created unspeakable agony. Only God knew in that instant. He had an illusion, secretly holding his breath in hopes that the little fox will smile bashfully while agreeing to marry him. The Crown Prince's pride was satisfied. Heart happy, he deliberately faced Li Moying and laughed. Second brother, I am sorry. I did not hold intentions of stealing from you. Truly did not expect. Third young miss, I would be so persistent. Such a pretty little beauty, insistent of marrying him, and doing her utmost to go against her heaven-given talented cousin. The Crown Prince naturally misunderstood her intentions. He assumed Huang Yueli was quite dedicated towards him. He could not help but feel lucky. But he also knew, if Huang Yueli must marry him, he could not disappoint either beauty. Presumably after giving her the position of first-side concubine, she will be flattered to the point of tears. Li Moying clenched his hands into a fist as his eyes coldly shone. He restrained the impulse to beat the Crown Prince up. His little fox. Was she someone that Li Majuan could hold any intentions towards to? You can also listen on. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.